so many times growing up through life, we were told that the only place a woman should be is work, home, or the mall. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting your nails done, nothing wrong with going and having lunch with your girlfriends, nothing wrong with that at all. But we also belong someplace else too, and that's the outdoors.
That's Dawn Freeland, owner and operator of Women Hunt, Fish, and Camp 2, and you found the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your fearless host, Angie Scott.
Hey everybody, Angie Scott here. Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast. If this is your first time listening, thanks for coming. The Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast is being produced every other Tuesday for your enjoyment, and the show notes can be found at thewomanangler.com. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or on iTunes. And big news, we are now also available on Spotify. You can also follow me on Facebook or join the Facebook group at The Woman Angler. It's set up. We're just getting ready to get it off the ground. So if you want to be an early adopter, go ahead and jump on there now. And all links to these will be in the show notes. Now let's get to the show. Today's story features Dawn Freeland. Dawn loves the outdoors. She loves to hunt, fish, and camp. But something inside her drives her to not just keep that enjoyment all to herself. Instead, she likes to strive to encourage other women to get out there and enjoy what God has created for us. That's why I knew I had to have her on this podcast. According to Dawn, being a female hunter in a male-dominated sport has been trying at times. Perhaps that's part of what drives her to help other women learn and navigate the space. She's observed that the prejudices and attitudes have been the hardest to overcome, and some of the other difficulties have been working with gun store owners, property owners, and the quote-unquote good old boys club. These types of challenges seem to transfer over into the online space as well, specifically social media. Dawn's noticed through running her Women Hunt, Fish, Camp 2 Facebook group and her Facebook page that a lot of times women tend to be easier targets for people out there wanting to make negative comments. I've seen this firsthand from a songwriter friend of mine in Nashville who also is really big into hunting and fishing in that world, and noticed that she tends to get attacked a lot more than when I see a guy post a picture of a recent kill. Here's what Dawn has to say about that.
Oh, absolutely. We're easier targets.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to get more of the negative. And I'm not sure why that is, but we get more of the negative comments than if a guy was to post it. I see a lot of these female trophy hunters, and specifically, will get death threats and stuff sent to their home against their children, and it's horrific. It is just, they'll make Facebook pages, social media accounts, just to slam and hurt and shame these women hunters, and it just blows my mind, but you don't see much of it at all about if a man does it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's still a double standard, even if they're an anti-hunter. There's still a double standard out there. Hey, where's my death threat? I killed a kid. What's Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand it. I don't know why. Just because it's just out of the norm, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Or they feel that we're easier to bully and push around. I'm not sure. I really don't know why. But for the most part, how I handle on my pages when I get those, I used to get them at the very beginning. I got them a lot. When I started Women Hunt too, I got it quite a bit. I would get them daily. I was really watching all the comments, every single thing that was posted on my page diligently. Mm-hmm. I can relax a little bit more now, but at the beginning, I found that the longer I leave the comments up, the more it brought more negative comments. it was like a magnet. It was like, okay, we got away with that one. Hey, guys, you jump on there, too. Hey, I'm going to call my friend, and you call your 2 friends, and you guys all get on there and comment negative stuff, too. Report these pictures. As soon as I started realizing that all I had to do was block them, report them, ban them, whatever I had to do, delete them, it would go away instantly, and there was nothing more after that.
Okay.
It was just a matter of time. Because there's sometimes, you want to use them as a teaching, educating moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey guys, they chose to take this large animal, but you don't understand the background behind that. What they do in Africa is a different way of hunting they do over there than they do here in Michigan or throughout the United States. Even the way we hunt here in Michigan, they hunt differently in California. They hunt differently in Florida. They hunt differently. And it's okay. And then we have different animals. Here, our deer only have spots on them when they're little babies, but some of these axis deer, some of these other ones, they'll have spots all year round, all throughout their whole entire life, and people don't realize that either. So sometimes they use it as an educational moment to kind of educate people, but then there's other times you just got to shut it down and just, because it's not about bullying my fans that are posting these pictures, that I'm encouraging them and helping them and want them to encourage and ask questions and learn stuff too about other people, like I said, where they hunt in different areas is different than the way we do. But that it's all okay as long as it's legal, ethical, and the meat isn't wasted. That's all I care about. Bottom line, that's what I care about. That runs into a few struggles too with other companies, other organizations, but that is the way I feel, and that's how I run my page.
And I guess for me, my instinct would have been, I haven't run into any of this yet because I'm just starting out and really just getting into things. But my instinct would have been to just, ignore any comments like that. But that's interesting that you say it kind of, if you just let them sit there, then it just kind of attracts. And
it really did. I tried doing that too. And I finally got to the point where I just started posting. If you can have a difference of opinion. You can say, this doesn't look like something I would do. This doesn't look like fun to me. This is not for me. Cool. That's great. You're different. But you're not, that's still respectful. That's just stating how it's just not for them. It's something they want to do, or they're uneducated and they want to ask more questions. Great. But as soon as you start calling names, as soon as you start belittling or being condescending, as soon as you start being sarcastic, disrespectful, they got to go. I don't put up with anything. And like I said, I do a lot of fan shares, fan questions on my pages. For instance, one question that comes up quite a bit is, what do ladies do when you have to go to the bathroom when you're out hunting? That's not too many places you can go in life and ask that question.
Right.
There isn't too many. So I do there's top 3 or 4 questions that are asked, and the next one is, what do you do when it's your time of the month? When you're out there hunting, is it a good thing, a bad thing? What do you do? And so we'll post these questions, and almost like clockwork, we'll get some disrespectful comments, and I just found I have to just delete them, ban them, and report them. Sometimes I report them if it's real bad or harassing. But the person who posted these questions or posted pictures, they come here because it's a safe environment. They know that they're not going to get bullied. It's not going to be allowed. It's not going to be tolerated. So I'll get more of those types of questions and pictures and postings. If you're going to go someplace and you're going to post this picture of this, a small buck, a button buck that you shot, and you're a single mom, you're in state land, and you're proud that you're going to feed your kids. Your mom and dad help watch the babies so you could go out and hunt, and you took a smaller sized deer, and we get inadvertently, every single time we get somebody bashing them, saying, you should have let that one grow, should have let that one pass, and who do you think you are? And to me, it's like, you know what? You're not to judge what she did or didn't do as long as it was illegal, it was an ethical shot, if she didn't waste the meat, who are you to judge? If it's okay with the state, why is it not okay for somebody else to feed her family? And I just have such a problem with that. That is probably my biggest pet peeve that I have.
Now I'm wondering, so what do you do if you're out there and you have to go to the bathroom?
Well, personally, what I do is I tend to dehydrate myself too much. So if I know I'm going to be out hunting and I'm not going to be able to come back for 5, 6, 7 hours, I will dehydrate. So I will only bring a very small amount of water and only take little sips. But if it's to the point where I'm out there a long time and it's just, you can't help it, you just have to go. I know some ladies will bring like coffee cans with a lid and the toilet paper in there, so then they have that with them, and then they seal it all back up so the smell doesn't escape. I know some people use the little Go Girls or the Sheebies is like a little funnel to stand up, go to the bathroom. That's something that I don't think would work for me, so I haven't tried that. But everybody's a little different. Some people just will only go a 2-3 hour hunt, and then they come back home just so that they can use the restroom. So it's everybody's personal preference. Yeah. It really is. You got to figure out what works for you. And what I like about when people ask those questions, you're going to get so many different answers. One of them are going to work for you. You're going to find something in those questions or in those comments that will work for you. Or, I never thought of that one. That's probably a good idea. I could probably do that. So there's a lot of good things on there.
So how did you get so into hunting and in the outdoors in the beginning?
At the beginning, my dad, he was an avid, outdoorsman. He loved hunting. When I was little, you did see him, get ready for a hunt, even just a little small game hunt. And I really, got curious about it. I really wanted to go with him, and he'd say, "Well, no, I'm going to take your brother out. What are you doing? I want to know too. I want to go too." And we're going to squirrel hunting. Well, cool. I was all about it. And go talk to your mom. She might have something for you to do in the kitchen. This isn't really for girls. And I just remember going, "Oh, okay. But why?" I didn't understand why is it not for girls. I wanted to know that question. And it created more questions. And, I of course, didn't ask those. He passed away in a car accident when I just turned 11, so I didn't get much more after that, of course. But I met my husband when I was 17 at church camp, and he was a big hunter. And he sparked it too. Kept going. Well, what is the curiosity? What is it about going out in the woods all the time? What is it that you do out there? And I'm missing this piece of this puzzle because he would go so much. And I'm thinking, what's the draw? I'm missing it. And I was just curious about it. Kept asking him questions. And finally, he said, "Well, just come sit with me." So I went with him one day, and we're sitting out there, and I brought a book or something to read. So you got to be quiet, he says. I'm like, okay. He says, "You're going to get bored." I'm like, I'm fine. And I had looked down. I was reading for a little bit, and when I had looked up, it had been snowing. And I didn't even realize it had been snowing that much. And I seen a mom and 2 babies walk through real slowly through the woods with the snow trickling down. Everything's blanketed white. It was just like one of those angels come out of the clouds aha moments that you see on TV. It just really hit me. And I just sat there with my mouth hanging open going, wow, this is awesome. I'm missing this. And that was it after that. It just kind of took a life of its own. So I always tell people it's a third of my dad's influence, a third my husband's influence, but I always had that curiosity and that drive. If you don't have it, that curiosity and that drive to want to do it, you're not going to do it, no matter who influences you, no matter who encourages you and tries to get you out there. So it has to come from you as well. So it's a third of each. It's just a culmination. It's not one specific thing.
When it came to hunting, Dawn didn't start out firing guns right away.
I got to shooting bow and archery, and then I started going out hunting, and it just, I look back now and I think I just couldn't pull enough weight back to penetrate deer. I would like bounce off of them, and I just wasn't taking it serious. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. And at this point, I'm still deathly afraid of guns. I was taught, you to stay away from them, don't touch them, it's not for you, you're not allowed to look at them, don't breathe on them, don't do nothing. So I was always scared of them, always very scared of them.
Much like her aha moment that got her into hunting in the first place, Dawn experienced another aha moment that led her transition from archery to firearms. We
got broke into in our home in the early 2000s, and at that moment, everything changed with me. My boys came home off the bus and seen our house in disarray and seen what had happened, the aftermath. They seen it before we did. We were at a funeral, but we got home and, of course, called the police and such. And at that moment, I realized I need to get over my fear of guns because I need to be able to take care of my kids. If a situation ever was to arise, would I remember where that shotgun was, or my husband told me where it was? Would I be able to load it? Would I be able to do this? Could I do this to protect my children? At that moment is when I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm done being afraid of this. I want to know everything. You show me everything there is to learn. I learned everything. 6 months later, we got broken into again. Oh. We weren't home, so we were very lucky in that regards, but I got my concealed weapon permit, and ever since then, I'm good to go.
Wow, so you've had some pretty key moments that have propelled you along.
Moments.
Yeah.
It wasn't just something that, some families grow up with it. It's just what they all do. They all do this as a family together, and it's one big happy unit. Didn't really happen for me that way, but, so the influence was still there. It just wasn't like most people's.
So when did it really go to the next level for you?
Probably the first year that because like I said, I got the concealed weapon permit, and I'm sitting out there, and I'm with my bow again the following year, and I'm just sitting there going, I'm not successful shooting this compound bow at this deer. What am I doing? This is silly. Wait a minute, if I can shoot a pistol, I could shoot a rifle. And I just like, okay, show me how to shoot a rifle. Show me how to do this. And he's like, okay. And he showed me all this stuff. And he didn't push me, but if I kept asking him more and more questions, he was all about showing me how to do stuff and what to do, and taking the proper precautions, of course. And so I'm sitting out there for rifle season, and it's for 2 weeks in Michigan, and it's coming to an end. And I took my first deer that year, a doe, and all excited about it. And he says, well, it ends, November 30th. And, oh, Bob, okay, well, what comes next? Well, we have a few days of archery again. I'm not good at that. How long does that last? Still just a couple of days. And then muzzleloader starts. All right, well, what's a muzzleloader? Show me how to do that. And then he's like, okay. And he showed me how to use that. And wasn't successful the first year or so. I had a nice, gorgeous 6-point walk-up real close to me. Took a shot with the old flintlock muzzleloader, and, of course, it just popped. The cap just, nothing worked, nothing happened. I'm just sitting there staring at this deer. It looks at me. I flicked the cap off, put another cap on, took another shot. It just did the exact same thing, and the deer finally ran off at this point. And I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. I went to town that day and bought a brand new inline Thompson Center 50 caliber, and I just love that thing. And I've been almost as much successful at that as I am my 30-06 that I bought from a garage sale. I just did. Those are my two favorite guns of all the guns. And then after that muzzleloader season, I said, okay, now what's next? And he's like, well, we have late doe. And then after that, there's nothing. I'm like, what do you mean there's nothing? There's no more seasons. It's January 1st. I'm like, no, what's the next type of, I'm thinking he's hung up on deer. And I'm like, no, what's the next animal season? He said, well, spring turkey, I guess, but I don't really turkey hunt. Like, okay, when is this? He goes, well, sometime in the spring. That's all I needed. And I took off, and I watched videos, and I watched interviews, and I talked to so many people and picked the brains at the gun clubs and the stores. So I'm self-taught in turkey hunting. Had a blast with that. I've had such a good time with that. But I said, well, that'll keep me going at least until fall turkey, which is September 15th here. And then, of course, October 1st is our bow again. So it kind of feeds the passion a little bit. And now I'm into bear hunting, too, and I can usually get that at the end of August, 1st of September in Canada someplace. So
wow.
That kind of feeds the passion a little bit, keeps it going.
So why the big obsession? What's the draw for you?
Getting outdoors, getting outside, and the different smells. There's different smells, different times of the year. You get the rotting, fermenting wood by the swamp and the marsh, and the leaves coming down in the fall, and the moss is growing, and you just get just the different smells, let alone the sights. And you see the same chipmunks, and the same squirrels, and the same patterns every day, the same colored ones jumping after each other. We have gray, black, of course, the red fox squirrel. We have all different colors. We had some chocolate ones out here too. Different squirrels over the years, and you get to see them and watch their patterns and their families and kind of move around, and I don't know, it's just a connection with all of it. Yeah. And then, of course, the seasons as you go out into September, and for turkey, and everything's still green out there. Still get mosquitoes when you're out there, but at night sometimes you still need the little heater. In Michigan, you could go between the thermostat and the Mr. Buddy heater in the same day while you're hunting, and to watch the colors change in fall, and then snow come, and it's all of it. It's connecting with all of it. And then, of course, providing lean, healthy meat for our family is, of course, the payoff. I really, really hate to buy meat in the store. I really do not like it at all. So most all the meat that we consume in our home and our farm is stuff that we've harvested. Once in a while, of course, we'll have something from the farm. This year we grew pigs and we're selling those. So in the past, I would go to a game ranch to shoot a pig to get some pork, but this year we decided to grow our own, so from bacon seeds. So we did pretty good with that. So we might do that again, but for the most part, we only buy lunch meat and chicken.
Wow.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Everything else is something that we've either shot ourselves.
So what led you to starting the women? And was it Women Hunt too? Is that how it started, or was
Women Hunt too? I had at the time, this was 2010. Just by at the time you didn't have an option to shut off what things you like or don't like to show to the public, because I had everything set to private on Facebook. And there was some pages that I liked, which is a lot of Remington and Thompson Center and some of these gun pages and other Facebook, social media for hunting stuff related. And somebody who was a mutual friend of mine seen a lot of this stuff, and they had been looking for somebody to be on this new talk show that they had on the radio. This was in Florida, so I had to call in and do a talk show thing on Saturdays. At first I thought he was kidding. He says, well, I've seen a lot of stuff that you like, you're really into. We really like to have you on there. Would you think you'd be interested? Thought he was kidding at first. Like, sure, okay, you and everybody else, they send me these weird messages. You just don't believe them. And I asked him to send me their website that they were on and show me a little bit of information, and he did, and by golly, it was real. So I started doing radio on Saturdays. That's how actually it all began. And he said, we can't pay you, but we'd love to link back to your website, or anything you have on social media. Social media? What is he talking about? I have nothing. And he says, we could link back and we could write your own commercials, basically. What is he talking about? How in the world? And after that, it just kind of well, I guess I could open a Facebook page. Let me see what's out there for women. Because I had been looking, and there just wasn't anything. Well, this time I looked diligently and really didn't find much of anything for women in the outdoors specifically. And it just okay, I got to come up with a name. Well, what am I going to call it? And just took on a life of its own. And then I had the page running for a while, and people would start saying, well, where's your T-shirts? What T-shirts? We want to buy your T-shirts. You want to buy T-shirts? I just couldn't believe it. They said, well, yeah, we want a shirt that says Women Hunt 2 on it. Okay, so now I'm a T-shirt salesman, I guess. It just took on a life of its own, and it's been growing crazy ever since. Yeah. On my Women Hunt 2 page on Facebook, I have quite a few followers, and those are all organic. They're not paid in any way. I've never paid Facebook to advertise. These are all organic likes.
Wow.
So we have pretty good following. And it's been since 2010, so it'll be 8 years this fall. But it's just being an everyday, average woman, middle-aged, overweight woman that just loves to do what she loves to do and likes to promote it online. And just trying to encourage women to get outdoors. That's basically the bottom line.
Soon Dunn found herself expanding the group from hunting to fishing and camping and other outdoor activities.
Right. It was a matter of just a few months, and I had people saying, well, I don't like to hunt, but I love to fish. How come you don't have a women's fishing page? Okay, I guess I'll do women fish too. And then after that, well, I don't hunt or fish, but I love to camp. Like, all right, this is just kind of how it grew. They told me what they wanted, and then I just went from there. So that was just a matter of a few months after that those grew, those pages. And then just this last year, I started because I wanted something a little bit more personable. Mm-hmm. Facebook has changed quite a few things, how things are run, what people are seeing in their news feeds, what comes first in the news feeds. They want us to pay for them to put these things up in the news feeds. People don't see a lot of my posts because I won't pay for it. So groups will they'll show up more, so I'll have more interactions with people, asking questions, referring links to different things. Hey, ladies, what did you find out for women's camouflage clothing? I can't find anything that will fit my body type. Do you guys have any links? And then they'll share with each other. Mm-hmm. These worked for me. This worked. This didn't work. Don't try these. Try these. And it's just kind of a community thing of figuring out what works best, figuring out the need, and then supplying that need. It's figuring out, of course, necessity is the mother of invention. It's basically how it runs. So we in the group page, the VIP group, we just encourage each other, ask questions, and everybody's encouraged to promote their self, what they do, where they're from, what type of rod and reel they use, what type of gun they shoot, what area they're at, if they're affiliated even with the business page.
What's been some of the biggest benefits that have come out of starting the Women Hunt Fish Camp 2 stuff? Just, I imagine you've got a lot of great relationships and things.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing is when I'm going to these expos and these shows, my number one love, the very beginning of everything, is to encourage women to get outdoors. When I'm at a show and I have a woman that will come up to me and said, "This is my first year hunting, and I didn't want to go, but I found your page online, and I thought maybe I could go sit with my husband for a little bit, and I did it, but then I really wanted to hunt by myself. Because I see so many people doing it, and I thought maybe if you guys could do it, I could do it. And look at my doe I shot this year." They show me a picture of something. That is awesome. That is what it's all about. And then have a place where they can go to, that they can talk about stuff, that hey, you know what? My husband has all these shirts that have all these name brand people. They don't have much for women out there. Well, I want one of your shirts, and that is just crazy to me. But hey, whatever works. And I get that they want to be part of that connection. They want to be part of the group. They belong there. So many times growing up through life, we were told that the only place a woman should be is work, home, or the mall. There's nothing wrong with getting your nails done, nothing wrong with going and having lunch with your girlfriends, nothing wrong with that at all. But we also belong someplace else too, and that's the outdoors. And what the outdoors looks to me may look different to you, may look different than to your neighbors. Your neighbors might think, well, my outdoors is raking the yard or taking the kids for a walk or going to the park. That's awesome too. Great. Encourage them to do that more often. It's whatever it looks like. I said, some people will pick up fishing. I haven't fished in so long. When I was a little girl, I think I'm going to go try fishing this weekend. And it's just one of those things like, yes, that's what I want to hear. That's what this is all about. That's what we're encouraging.
Dawn has a great quote in her LinkedIn bio that I wanted to share. She wrote, "Being a successful deer hunter isn't measured by the quantity of animals that you have harvested. It's the feeling in your soul that you receive for having another chance to experience the amazing outdoors." In regards to fishing in particular, she says, "Usually I'm just an average fisherman. Yes, I say fisherman instead of fisherwoman. Fishing in average places, catching average fish. But on occasion, I'm above average, and that's what it's all about." I'm sure you've picked up on it by now, but Dawn loves to teach other women how to do these things, and I asked her about that.
Yeah, before I started this, I was a preschool teacher and then a substitute teacher simultaneously. So when this became full-time, I kind of lost that part of it. So I do some seminars at Cabela's. I will do some seminars within some of the expos that I attend, some of the shows around Michigan, and I'll have a different topics. If they have a topic they want me to cover, or I'll just come up with one myself, or it's just a generic, basic topic of how I got started, basically how this interview is going right now.
Do you have sponsors and things like that as well, or are you just out there promoting the Women Hunt too and Fish too?
Yeah, so I found that basically to get those messages out, to talk to those women, to get to those expos and those shows, to get to Cabela's that don't pay you, costs money. Mm-hmm. So how you're going to get that money is by selling T-shirts, hats, and decals.
Right.
It's one of those things that it's not what I want to do. I'd love to do radio and TV and blog. That's what I would just ultimately love to do. However, you don't get paid much for doing those things. You really got to have a way. And of course, we write commercials, which is a post of a really, cute little T-shirt, hat, or decal idea that comes out and about. And of course, that's what helps pay for the forward going into the future about getting some of these things done and getting the message out there that, some of the younger girls coming up, children, there's a study that shows that if the father is an outdoorsman, that's great. There's a chance that your children will be as well. But if the mom is an outdoorsman, it grows exponentially of how much more often the children will become an outdoorsman because the mom has more of an influence, when they're especially at a younger age. That's just the way it is. That's just a study that I had read, and I believe it. I believe it wholeheartedly.
Well, I love what you're doing, and that you've got such a huge following. It's super inspirational, for sure.
Thank you.
What advice would you have for other women out there that are passionate about hunting and fishing in the outdoors?
Oh, just trying to encourage some of their friends, or encourage, like I said, take the children out. Or if you want to get involved more, their state DNR's website, each state has their own separate one, and there's usually some links on there of something that's coming up to their area. I know, like state of Michigan, we have some spring turkey hunting seminars that are coming up. Some are being housed at Cabela's. Some are being housed other areas, some restaurants in the areas. You can put in pretty much what town you're from or which one's closest to you, and those will pop up. So those are always free to attend also.
As we wind down here, I'm always curious to ask my guests, especially since hunting and fishing gear can tend to be a bit pricey, what kinds of inexpensive gear are your personal favorites or can't leave home without items?
Biggest deterrent that women have is when they're hunting is they don't want to get cold. That's the biggest thing. Where do I go to the bathroom? And I don't want to get cold. So I did write a blog, I think it's 2 years ago, about how to stay warm also, but it's also cost efficiency, which is silly things that sounds ridiculous to some people, but it's actually effective and very, very cheap. Like you can afford the most expensive boots that you can afford. They're still going to get cold toes. So of course you get those little 99-cent toe warmers. You throw those in there, and those don't only work for a certain period of time too. But I found that you wear wool cotton blend sock. Put your foot in a plastic bag, like a Myers bag, a bread bag, then either put another sock on top of that and put your foot in the boot. Your feet will also stay drier, but they'll stay warmer. And most people are like, that's so silly, but try it. You let me know if it doesn't work better for you. And I have done it so many times. It sounds silly, but it is just a cheap fix, but it works. Another one was having anything between your foot, the bottom of your foot, and the ground, like a piece of cardboard, a board, a blanket, anything between your foot and the ground to keeping that cold difference from going up into your bottom of your feet, up in your legs. That will make a big difference too. Cheap fixes. It's nothing that costs a lot of money. I'm all about that. And I know a lot of people they're hardcore. They got to have a certain type of print for their camouflage, or they think they're going to get seen. You know, my middle son still hunts with his grandpa's old red plaid wool jacket and pants, and he gets a buck almost every year. You know, there's something for, you know, those awesome, amazing patterns, which are great, but if you can't afford them, it really doesn't make that big a difference. That's what a lot of people say. You can break up the pattern. You got to break up the pattern. You can't move. How did those guys kill all those animals with all that plaid back then? Right. You know. Sometimes, of course, you're in a blind, and sometimes you have the stuff in front of you. So obviously, it's all camouflage. But it's basically, you could go to Goodwill. You could buy camouflage. You don't have to match. It doesn't have to be high end stuff. It doesn't have to be the best and the brightest and the best and the biggest. It just has to work for you.
Yeah, I guess if you don't have the money to go out, that shouldn't be something to stop you from going out there and doing.
I know that people will. I've heard them make fun of people for wearing. Oh my gosh, your camouflage doesn't even match. Oh, you're wearing the red plaid, but you're wearing something purple. The deer can't see it anyway. You wear camouflage, so the deer don't see you, not for your buddy, not for your judgment of the other hunters around you.
Right.
To break up the pattern when you're out there in the woods. But, you just got to figure out what works for you, what works for your area. Where I hunt with a lot of oak trees. It's just the colors in the fall, of course, are bright orange, bright yellow. It all depends, so.
Awesome.
It's all different. Or where you hunt someplace else, they don't have those colors. You don't have the same type of patterns that we have in the trees that you would have someplace else. So.
Well, that's great. I really enjoyed this. A lot of fun. I love talking with you and learning more about the hunting world, because I'm more in the fishing world, and so. But no, it's awesome. I love that you're getting out there. I love that you're doing what you're doing, and I love your mission.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Very
Yeah, we're all in this together, and we're all here to help each other, encourage each other out there.
Awesome.
Number one, stay safe.
Yes.
Be safe.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Where can people find you online?
WomenHunt2.com is the website, and then, of course, the Facebook pages is on Facebook.com/WomenHunt2, WomenFish2, Women Camp 2. We have it all. Yeah, we have a little bit of everything.
Awesome. All right, that wraps up my interview with Dawn Freeland. Be sure and check out her website and Facebook page. And don't forget to go to thewomanangler.com, where you can access all the show notes, see some pictures, and all the links that we've shared in today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back in another 2 weeks with another awesome episode featuring another amazing woman. In the meantime, as Dawn said, everyone, please stay safe.